Why did the Packers decide to keep Matt LaFleur? Ian Rapoport joins us from Radio Row to talk about that, plus Romeo Doubs on a tough Bears loss and his uncertain future. Plus, we get a Seahawk and a Patriot to help us preview Super Bowl 60.
You are Locked On Packers, your daily Green Bay Packers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Packers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Peter Bukowski, and I cover the Packers for The Leap, a newsletter I would love for you to subscribe to. Follow the podcast wherever you get podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Wherever you find podcasts, you will find Locked On Packers, the number one Packers podcast on the internet, and the show for fans who know what happened. They want to know why and how. Thanks to everybody who makes Locked On Packers their first listen every single day. We hope you like starting your day with us as much as we like starting our day with you here on the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network. We are live from Radio Row in San Francisco, Super Bowl 60. We heard from Brian Gutekunst earlier today as I record this, and he didn't say much of interest except that it seems like Rich Bisaccia is staying in Green Bay as the Packers special teams coach. Beyond that, I don't know that there's anything that interesting in all that other than he seems pretty pissed about what happened, and how could you blame him? We've got a loaded show for you today. Christian Fauria joins us, former Seahawk, won 2 Super Bowls with the New England Patriots. He helps us break down Super Bowl 60, set the table a little bit. That Romeo Doubs, Packers receiver, we'll see where he heads. We talk about how you move on after the Bears loss, what happened there, what does it feel like as the game starts slipping away from you. But we start with Ian Rapoport, who is as on top of this stuff as anybody on why the Packers decided to keep Matt LaFleur, why he thinks that was the best choice by far, and why he never really even considered Green Bay would make a move. Let's do it. All right, we're here, Radio Row, San Francisco, Super Bowl 60. Ian Rapoport from NFL Media. Ian, 10 teams changed coaches this cycle.
Don't remind me.
And we thought this was going to be kind of a boring cycle. There weren't all these sexy names. Why did we get here?
So, kind of taking a look at what the landscape of this thing, it felt to me like teams were kind of going through it. They're figuring out what they wanted to do. We thought it would be maybe 6 or 7, and then the Ravens fired John Harbaugh. And that to me felt a little bit like a signal to teams like, all right, hang on. Like, if you think being just okay is good enough, it's not good enough for the Ravens, so maybe it shouldn't be good enough for us. And like 2 days later, the Dolphins fired Mike McDaniel, and everyone thought it was to hire Harbaugh, but I thought it was more, and they never ended up interviewing him, I thought it was more like, all right, this is not good enough, and we need to take note of what other teams are doing, and I think that led to a couple more firings.
Okay, so how many, the Ravens make this move for John Harbaugh, how many teams, how many coaches do you think could have that ripple effect around the league? There can't be that many, right? 5 or 6
not
maybe?
that many, but John Harbaugh was an institution. Super Bowl winner, more than a decade, in the playoffs every year, except for this year. It's like when that happens, it's really like anything can happen. And I think that's sort of what this search told me. It's like, I remember waking up the morning after the Bills lost in the playoffs. And there'd been really, after they won the first game, really no discussion of would Sean McDermott get fired.
Right.
But in my head, I'm like, I think something's going to happen. Understanding the landscape, they don't seem happy. Were they good enough? I don't know. And I'm like, I got to be honest. And we ended up breaking it because I was like, this feels like teams are not settling at all this year. Now, we'll see if they got it right, but not settling at all.
Yeah, very much TBD on that. It seems like the Seahawks in the Super Bowl led to multiple ripple effect firings. It seemed like Sam Darnold was at least in part directly what happened with Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah in Minnesota. And then Mike McDonald, I think it would be rational to just say, we let that guy out of the building. Maybe am I connecting too many dots here?
No, I don't think the Ravens fired Harbaugh because they let Mike McDonald out of the building, but I do think for teams that want the hot young offensive coach, some of those teams are like, all right, hang on, this is a non-yelling, non-theatrical, young defensive mind who is brilliant, who can communicate, who is a leader, Like, that's what it should be, you know? And it's hard to find those guys, but it felt like that's what the Ravens were at least looking for. I think that's what the Dolphins were looking for. Like, it doesn't matter if it's offense or whatever. It's really just like, can you find someone to lead your team? And, like, you know, I wonder about, like, say teams like the Commanders.
Yeah.
End up hiring Dan Quinn. Obviously did great last year. This year, not as good. They had a chance to hire Mike McDonald and didn't. I wonder if they're like, ooh, like, maybe we should. So, you know, it's tough to know what's right. It really is.
And look, no team knows when they hire a coach. If they're like, you think you're hiring the best guy, like that's part of the deal.
I always think about when the Packers hired Matt.
Yeah.
I thought it was crazy.
Yeah.
He was a coordinator whose job status was up in the air in Tennessee. I thought it was crazy, and he is an excellent football coach.
So with all of the flux then, I look at the 22 other teams, and I feel like in their building, they could say, well, our continuity is actually a benefit to us moving forward then.
Yeah, I think it's more like, do we have a guy who can get us to where we need to go? You know, because like kids now, players now are accustomed to change. They can change all the time. They transfer from place to place.
Yeah.
Everyone has a new coordinator, it seems, every year. Half the league has a new coordinator.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know how much continuity there is. I think it's more like, do we have a guy or do we not have a guy? And so the Packers discourse was interesting. Like, I reported the Saturday before their playoff game, they're going to work out a new contract with him. And it seems like, and I was like, yeah, like, they're going to work. And people were still like, we'll see what happens. And I'm like, he's coming back because, like, he's a guy who can take you to the Super Bowl.
But did your perspective change the way that they lost that Bears? Okay.
No, not at all. I mean, like,
is it because they're not a reactionary franchise, or?
No, I think he's the guy. You know, like, I just never. No one ever told me. No one ever gave me any indication that there was anything but full-throated support of Matt LaFleur. And so, even though they lost, you know, I didn't scramble around calling everyone. I was like, trust what people have told me. Like, he is coming back.
And like, I think for Green Bay, to me, the reason I asked the continuity question is if you're the Packers, you have, like, windows in the NFL are, 3 years max most of the time?
Yeah.
To change midstream, like, if you're Buffalo, that's a big risk. If you're Baltimore, that's a big risk.
Right. But, you know, they have talent. And if you believe in the talent you have and find good coaching, you can do it. But, like, you know, I think the Bills will go to the playoffs next year. But they might not. And, excuse me. But they might not. And so it's like, you know, you fired Sean McDermott. That's a huge risk. It'll either pay off. Like when the Denver Broncos did it with John Fox to Gary Kubiak.
Yeah.
I think people are like, hold on, you just fired a coach who was in the AFC title game or whatever it was. It's like, yeah, and then they won the Super Bowl next year.
And Denver had already done that with Dan Reeves and Mike Shanahan a long, long time ago. So we've seen that can and does happen. Are there when we see these two teams, I think around the league, people are going, okay, are there lessons from the Patriots, from the Seahawks that we can take? Is there anything translatable here, or do these teams kind of catch lightning in the bottle? Like,
I think for the Patriots, you know, a couple things. One is like they locked in on their quarterback and they did not even think about trading him. And I was like, all right, like if you believe in your guy, like make sure he doesn't go anywhere. You know, like teams can't try to come up for three. They like no. I think
if the Vikings do it, maybe Kwesi still has a job.
I'm sure he still does.
Yeah.
I'm sure he does. Now, I mean, it would have had to be a crazy offer, but, you know, everything has a price, so we'll never know.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they really considered it that strongly. I would think from Seattle's standpoint, what they did at the quarterback position is fascinating because they had a guy in Geno Smith. They came to like a weird place contractually, and they were like, you know what? We're moving on because we trust ourselves to find the next guy who's younger. And now they're in the Super Bowl. And so like, I wonder if teams would be like, we don't love our quarterback, but you know, usually teams stay. But it's like, we don't love our quarterback, but I just saw what the Seahawks did. Like maybe we could get a little better, you know?
For the Packers, like one of the things that was part of the discourse there was, well, who are you going to get that's better? And I think in the case of Matt LaFleur, that would have been really, really tough. Do you subscribe to the theory? Have you heard from people in the league who subscribe to the theory? Like, we kind of got to know who we can get before we move on, or is it more like a relationship where you're like, I know this is not working. We got to do something else.
I think it's more like a relationship because, like, look, there's always somebody better. It's like people make the joke about their wives. It's like, I was my wife's second choice or whatever. It's like, there's always somebody better, right? No one's the best in the world at anything except for maybe one person.
Yeah.
So you can always do maybe like a little bit better, right? But it really is to me more like a relationship. It's like, you trust the guys you hire, you go with it as long as you can, you see what success they can get you, and if it's not working, then you should end it. And if you feel, that's why what the Ravens did, did I agree with it? I don't know. Tough either way, we'll see. But if you don't believe it's working, you should definitely move on.
Is there a trend right now that you're seeing with teams and some of these hires? There's a lot of young guys in this cycle. Joe Brady, Mike LaFleur. That's kind of always what everyone's chasing Sean McVay in a way, but
a little bit.
I guess Pittsburgh, Mike McCarthy. There's always going to be two sides to it.
There's a bunch of retreads this year too. I just think it's like in free agency. It's where's the talent come from? This year, there was a lot of former coaches. So it's either former college coach or former NFL coach. So that's kind of what people hired. It's really just identifying the talent and seeing where they come from. Basically.
Do you think we see Mike Tomlin coach again in the NFL?
I don't know. Not guaranteed. He was so all in, that if you told me that suddenly he was not, I would say I get that. We'll see.
He's been coaching for a long time. At a certain point, you might just need a change.
Yeah.
All right, Ian, I appreciate it.
Good stuff, man.
We'll get to Romeo Doubs here in just a second on Locked On Packers. Finding a doctor you actually like can feel like discovering a diamond in the rough. Sure, you want someone who's in network, nearby, and has availability, but you also want a doctor who listens, makes you feel comfortable, and explains things clearly. The kind of doctor exists, and finding them is easy with ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality, in-network doctors so you can find someone you love without all the hassle. We're talking about booking in-network appointments with more than 150,000 providers along all 50 states, covering over 200 specialties with primary care and dentistry, dermatology, eye care, and more. I use ZocDoc in my life. I helped find myself a nutritionist with ZocDoc. I found myself a specialty dermatologist with ZocDoc. I use it all the time. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL to find and instantly book a doctor you love today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL. ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this message. Today's episode also brought to you by our friends at Indeed. If you've ever hired someone who looks good on paper but wasn't the right fit, you know how important that fit part is. When you want candidates who truly match what you're looking for, trust Indeed sponsored jobs. Hiring Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs put your post at the top of the page to help you reach the right candidates faster. Instead of struggling to get your job seen, Indeed sponsored jobs helps your listing stand out and reach quality candidates faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed are 90% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. Spend more time interviewing candidates who check all the boxes with less stress, less time, and more results using Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help give your job the premium placement it deserves at Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL. Just go to Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL right now and support the show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. I'm here, Super Bowl 60, San Francisco, with Romeo Doubs,
yes, sir.
Packers wide receiver, now upcoming free agent. Can we start in a tough place? The Chicago Bears game.
Sure.
You had to know we were going to have to talk about that.
Yeah.
As in a game like that, when it starts to slip, what is that as a player? What is that feeling like? How do you manage it?
It's not a good feeling, but the best way to go about it is just playing the next play. Because that's just this game, you know what I mean? But again, talking about the Chicago game, it was really tough because, again, just got to live with it by continuously saying that the game was in our hands at some point. But ultimately, win, lose, or draw, there's growth all over, You know what I mean? And I'm just blessed and truly thankful to make it sure.
I mean, and you had a great game personally, but I have to imagine that it's, it doesn't feel the same when, the ending is the way that it is. Can the big play at the end in the fourth quarter, I think was the seam ball that you make the one-handed catch on. Can you just walk me through that one?
We had the ideal look, and what happened? Yeah, it was just man coverage. Jordan took the best matchup. It was a great ball, and ultimately it was a great catch.
And in retrospect, were you like, dang, I wish I hadn't slid out of bounds?
I mean, I was
you had
already,
any control about it. Like,
I'm
saying, just like unlucky.
Yeah, I mean, I was already falling forward. So as long as I was falling forward and not losing anything going backwards.
Yeah. So as you look back, like, does it feel like missed opportunities for you guys? Like, what was it that just couldn't quite get you to where you felt like? Because I know, I'm talking to Evan Williams earlier this week, he's like, we felt like we had a Super Bowl team. Mm-hmm. So what ultimately was holding you guys back from getting to where you wanted to get to?
I think I'll speak for me. I wouldn't speak for the whole team. Because again, everybody's reasonings can differ, but I just thought it might have been just a growing thing. Like maybe this was something that we needed. You know what I'm saying? But again, man, it was a series of events that went with this, like from losing Tucker early in the season, and then playing Denver, we lose Micah, and at some point throughout the year we lost Elton Jenkins. Like again, yeah, the next man up is one thing, but again, it was just, sometimes that's football. That's just the way the game goes, and you just got to adjust. I thought we did a great job adjusting to those circumstances.
That receiver room, that last game, you guys get announced as a group, right? Like what went into that conversation?
Honestly, I do not know, but I thought that was a moment for me because again, you come into the NFL and the ideal look is that someone who's been around the league shows you the way where ultimately you get all young guys growing as one.
Yeah.
And I thought that was beautiful to be a part of.
I mean, you guys are all about the same age. Like, is it you guys pretty close in that room?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, man. I wouldn't change anything. Just going through that experience with them, from just talking ball, learning ball, being great people off the field. I just thought, again, it was something very unique from the organization down to the team. So.
You usually don't see rooms that young, and rooms that young stay that young. Like from the time you were there in 2022, you guys basically got younger every year you were in Green Bay. Like that kind of stuff doesn't happen. What is, like, if you're not able to come back to Green Bay, what are you going to miss about that?
Probably just the city. Not even just the city. I mean, everything about it, bro. From obviously coming in as a rookie, not really knowing what to expect, to going into my second year, and then we draft 3 more receivers where my veteran role kicks in a little quicker. Like
in year 2, you got to be a veteran.
Yeah. So it was just so much stuff that went along with that, but.
I felt like we saw more of your personality this year on the field.
Yeah,
is that something that there was a conscious decision, or you were just more comfortable? Like we see in like the Packers social videos some of the quirky, jokey side of you.
Yeah.
But then on the field, like we saw you fired up. We saw you screaming and dancing, and it just felt like, I don't know if you were having more fun, if you were more confident. Like what went into that? Did you feel different?
Maybe, yeah, bro. Maybe just me going out there being myself for, I guess, the first time, we can all say. But
Why the first time?
Well, not the first time, but just continuously just showing more. And it wasn't conscious for me to not be that person, to like pull back. But I don't know, things were just happening. And ultimately, this game, outside of winning, you got to have fun.
Talk to me about Jordan Love a little bit and the growth that you saw from him. I mean, you got a chance to play with Aaron Rodgers, one of the best to ever do it. Jordan comes right in, and I'm not going to say he was Aaron Rodgers, but he played well for you guys. What did you see change in him over the last couple of years?
And just his growth, his confidence within the system, having an edge outside of just, what the players are originally, or, just having the confidence in himself, just making checks that we didn't really go over. It's just some of the little things like going to
Did playing with Aaron Rodgers that first year, like when you have to know every hand signal, did that help prepare you for like whatever the evolution of that was?
Yes, absolutely. And I appreciate Jordan. I love Jordan. And, I look forward to his growth, just playing ball, being a person. He's probably one of the best people to be with.
Last thing, as you look forward to what you're looking for and whatever comes, whether it's in Green Bay or whatever opportunity is next, what is going to be most important to you about how you are able to continue to give yourself the best chance to grow and be the player that you want to be?
This is pretty off topic, but football is football, man. And again, it's a lot of questioning about me going into free agency and just my decision making.
Yeah.
I got a great team around me.
Yeah.
I believe in the team I have around me in terms of that decision when it comes to it. But ultimately, man, it's just I'd rather leave some of those things unknown because I know there's a lot in the air and I don't want to put anyone else in position to continuously think about this. So I'd rather just, be myself, appreciate the people I got around me, and just continue to find ways to be better. So.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, let's get to Christian Fourier next on Locked On Packers. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action, so when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by the people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play-by-play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. As the new year gets going, a lot of people are trying to simplify their routines, and dinner is a big one. Between busy work days, cold winter nights, and packed schedules, having an easy, reliable dinner plan makes a huge difference. That's where Home Chef comes in. Home Chef takes the stress out of cooking by delivering fresh, pre-portioned ingredients right to your door with easy-to-follow recipes that actually taste great. They're rated #1 by users of other meal kits for quality, convenience, value, taste, and recipe ease, and it's not hard to see why. With over 30 weekly options, including family-sized meals and different dietary choices, recipes are simple but feel elevated, even restaurant quality, with dishes co-coordinated by chefs like Gordon Ramsay. Ever heard of him? It saves time and money. Home Chef customers save an average of $86 per month on groceries. That's, a lot of money over the course of a year that you can use on literally anything else. For a limited time, Home Chefs is offering my listeners 50% off their first box, free shipping, and free dessert for life. Just go to homechef.com/lockedon. That's homechef.com/lockedon for 50% off your first box, free shipping, and free desserts for life. Must be an active subscriber to receive the free desserts. In the Venn diagram of people you want to talk to about Seahawks, Patriots in the Super Bowl, how about a Seahawk and a Super Bowl champion Patriot, Christian Fourier? There's a lot to dig into with these two teams. The way that they were built, very different.
Yeah.
What stands out to you about the matchup specifically?
I think they're very similar, to be honest with you. I think the coaching staff is very similar. The coaching mentality is very similar. I think the defenses are very similar as far as their mentality and what they're capable of doing. Special teams, like all those areas, I would say push. Like if you go like advantage Seahawks, I would say no, push. The only difference I think is the offenses. And you have one offense with the Seattle Seahawks and how consistent they've played and how many big games they've played and how many points they can put up on the board. and how clean Sam Darnold has played. And then on the other hand, you have the Patriots offense that has played against some really good defenses in the postseason.
Yeah.
But they just really have made it, really haven't played very well. The only problem is that the other offense, the Houston Texans offense, the
Broncos.
The Broncos with Jarrett Stidham, and then the Chargers, there was always an issue. There was always something that was missing. So even though the Patriots turned the ball over or fumbled it away, they couldn't the other team couldn't make them pay for those mistakes. So they were able to kind of regroup, settle in, big play here, big play there. Now that team, that offense that couldn't move the ball is now a little frazzled and panicky, and they can't catch up. So that's what I would say the big difference is for me.
You mentioned some of the issues that those teams had. What do you make of the criticism of this Patriots team? Oh, they had an easy schedule. They had an easy path to the Super Bowl. What do you make of that whole idea?
The one thing I would say is, sure, you can slant it that way if you want to diminish what they accomplished. But they still played 3 of the top 5 defenses in the league. Yeah. They put 21 points on the Houston Texans. That's hard to do.
In
the
a
Chargers,
blizzard.
The Texans wasn't much of a blizzard. The Denver Broncos was crazy. But the Chargers, it was a beautiful day. I was at that game. And that's impressive. So I don't know, it's never going to be perfect. The one thing I'll say about the Patriots, whenever they need something, they need a play, they need something, they need to block a kick, they block a kick. They need a touchdown, they get a they need a stop, they get a stop, they need a turnover. They're very opportunistic, they're wired the right way, where if the circumstances are pretty nutty and against them, they come up with a play. And it's so cliche-ish, I hate keep saying it, but that's how my teams were when I played we were very opportunistic. We played situational football. Our coach never lost us the game. And I think that's similar to the way they are.
Wasn't that the Belichick ethos, was let them lose the game?
Yeah, well, what we would do is listen, we're going to control our controllables. We're not going to give them anything easy. Yeah, I'm allowed 3 each interview.
Okay. We'll have a tally going.
At the end of the second day, you're like, oh, God.
Coach speak is all
I'm going to cliche the hell out of this guy.
It's all cliches with coach speak.
Yeah, but I would say, but that is, because I kept going with, the Patriots need to control the game. And it's very cliche. So I said, well, what does that even mean? Well, their game plan, they're going to be risk averse. Okay, so we're not going to take any big shots. We're not going to be reckless with our play calling. If instead of going for it, we're just going to punt. We trust our defense. Yeah. Now's not the time. There will be a time where you're going to have to pull the trigger on a play you've been holding in your back pocket, a double pass, a play action deep shot. There's something to that effect, and you can't have the game end with that play in your back pocket. You're going to have to use it, and that's what I think the game plan is. And this is what we would just sit there. We're going to be really, really solid in our fundamentals. Where when we need a big play, somebody is going to come down with it. And we always had guys, and the Patriots have guys that come down with big time. Matt Collins is always making plays. Yeah. Diggs, even though sometimes he doesn't have a lot of numbers, but he's got impact plays. Right. Big catch here, tough throw.
They create explosives at one of the highest rates in the league.
And I don't think that's by accident. Drake May is really good at throwing the deep ball, and his receivers are really good at coming down with it. Because the degree of difficulty on the passes that he throws, especially the sideline go passes, where the ball, you got to track that thing, and follow it and keep your feet in bounds. I can't create any more adjectives to describe how impressed I am with it.
And if you're a non-Patriots fan, you're going, I can't believe the Patriots have done this again.
I'm telling you, it's the same thing I said. I was like, here we freaking go again. It's so funny because it's America's worst nightmare. The Patriots are good again. Everybody thought they were done. It's Lamar's year. It's Josh Allen.
The Chiefs are over.
The Chiefs are done, right? I would say the one difference between this team and all the other ones, I think this team is likable.
Yeah. Drake May is really likable, at least right now.
Well, I don't think he's ever going to be unlikable. He's too, shucks. Well, our guys. He never brags. He hates the spotlight. Yeah. We had this.
Got a little Favre in him like that.
Yeah, but but Favre was behind the scenes kind of psychotic and crazy. Right, and he was living life on the edge. Drake
true.
Is not already married, and they had this send off in Gillette Stadium, and he. Everybody's on the mic and just all we need, and He just comes up and they hand him the mic. He's like, oh, and like, and that's it. That's it. He doesn't want the spotlight. My nickname for him is No Emo. No emotion.
Yeah.
He's clean. Good, bad, it does not matter.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks to those guys for joining us. It was really a blast to talk to all of them. That's just what happens when you're here at Radio Row. I heard Chad Ochocinco pitch to Dan Orlovsky that he wanted to be the Eagles offensive coordinator. He said, Dan, float that out. And that's like in the bathroom at Radio Row. Just people having a blast. You never know who you're going to run into. You never know who you're going to see. That's what makes this such a fun time. Plenty more here from San Francisco for Super Bowl 60 as part of Locked On Packers. Follow wherever you get podcasts. Subscribe wherever you get podcasts. Follow me on the social medias. Be an everydayer. Plus, right now we are running a special promotion. Get the first month of the Everydayer Club free. Check it out. Hang out with us in the group chat, in our special Discord channel, lockedonpackers.supercast.com. Plus, we're going to have a special link in the show notes to get that free month. Plus, we're running a special on the Leap right now. My goodness, we are just making it easy for you to consume all the Packers content that you want so you can, as always, stay locked on Packers.